there's this activity that was taking place in Lamu County yesterday, where the president went to flag off and launch berth 1 of the Lamu port, which is part of, we can say, the anchor part of the LAPSSET project. The Lamu port, South Sudan, Ethiopia transport corridor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when he went there to launch it, he said there are very many people who did not think that this project would come to life. There are many people who doubted focus and commitment to delivering this particular project. But here we are. It's now being launched. This was the first berth, and there were 2 ships that docked yesterday, and more will be docking. And then they'll construct 31 others in coming days. 310 billion shillings already injected into this mega Lamu port project, and more will be spent, of course, to develop the entire project. Then, at the same time, the president opened a new road, which is 114 kilometers long from Garsen through Witu to Lamu. And he said this is part of a big project. The next phase is the ongoing construction and rehabilitation of Garsen to Garissa Road, which is about 300 plus kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
That is ongoing. It'll also be completed. And there'll also obviously be the expansion of the other roads now that connect from Garissa to other parts of the country, and especially that northeastern side of Kenya. Looking at that, project of LAPSSET was launched by President Mwai Kibaki in 2012. It sounded good. It sounded ambitious. It was also part of, Kenya's Vision 2030 on what we can do with opening up that entire LAPSSET corridor, having roads, having pipeline, having a rail network. But all of that is dependent on a port that's working. Port is already showing signs of working. Road network is already being done. Railway and pipeline, the conversations here and there. But if you remember, President Uhuru Kenyatta hosted the Prime Minister of Ethiopia in Lamu to inspect the ongoing development, which means that Kenya was still looking at the main customer of this particular project and saying, come, please remember that we're still working with this. President Salva Kiir of South Sudan also visited Lamu. If you're saying South Sudan, Ethiopia transport corridor, and those 2 leaders are not on board, then you are doing nothing. But the fact that the president even invited them and told them, come see the project, guys, we're still working on it, it means something. Now, if you look at it from the other side of Mugalamu and Haki Yake Mpe, and look at the infrastructure projects that the President Uhuru Kenyatta has actually started and completed, or started and gotten to a very far part since he became president in 2013. So we're talking about now Lamu Port, tick. Talk about a railway that comes from Mombasa and goes all the way to Naivasha, tick. We can argue about the cost, we can argue about everything else, but is there a railway, is there no railway? There's a railway, right? Mm-hmm. Tick. With stations, tick. Look at the expansion that's going on, trying to connect that Naivasha all the way to Malaba by rehabilitating the old railway. It's ongoing, all right? Tick. Already there's news in the paper that the president and the former prime minister are actually going to take a train ride to Kisumu in coming days to go and do what? And also commission the refurbishment of the Kisumu port. Tick, tick. Look at the roads that have been done. So we're talking about this one, this particular Garsen-Lamu road. It's a big road for the people of Garsen and the people of that region, the people who ply that route. Big road. If you look at all the other roads in the country that have been done. So in terms of continuation of infrastructure projects, I think we can basically look back and say, yeah, everything else notwithstanding, the man is getting us moving. Can we not?
We can. We can. The thing that I find particularly palatable is a deviation from the norm with any leaders on this continent. A new president comes in, any project that was initiated by the former government, that is put aside. And they begin on their own huge, ambitious projects. This president has continued with projects that were started before his tenure. These road projects that we're talking about, they began in the era of Mwai Kibaki.
Yeah.
One could argue, if you know how roads are built and the length of time it takes to actually get it moving, some were even started before that. Meaning, you have this master plan, then you go through the process of looking for money to help with the design, to plan, long before you can even talk about looking for funds to actually build the road. The work that takes place in just preparing for this is not a month, it is years. So that continuity is something that I must applaud this particular administration under President Uhuru for, because they have seen it to fruition. The issues of cost, different discussion for a different day. But as we say, do we see the roads? Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Are they all over the country? Yes, they are. Are we seeing further improvement, Eric, as you put it? Yes, we do. So the discussion of why now, that is not relevant. Right now, the issue is we are seeing things that didn't exist now existing. We are seeing plans that had been started coming to a completion. That, whatever else you say, is a good thing. And everything that follows. Yes, now infrastructure is not just roads or airports.
Yeah.
The issue of adequate supply of water, building adequate bridges, making sure that you have a serious telecommunication network, making sure that you have power production and the distribution of it. Some of these things we do have a little tweaking and just a little restructuring, and it will be a reality that everyone in this country can say, you know something, we have water running through our taps, we have affordable electricity. These are things that can be worked towards, but the building of roads, as we are seeing it, is usually the starting point. Because when you build roads, you're going to end up building bridges as well. You know, you talk about Garsen, huh? One needs to go to Garsen to understand this. If you go through Malindi, there's a tarmac road. And for the long, it actually got up to Garsen. Thereafter,
So find your way.
you and God. You and God. And when it rained, oh, goodness gracious me, you would actually be cut off. So all I'm saying is that if you haven't been to that particular part of the country, I don't think you would understand the enormity of the benefits that are being brought about by this project. It's difficult to envision it. If you live in Nairobi, you work here, or you come from a place which has a big town, you wouldn't be able to envision it. But just that one project, it'll open up that area in ways that we can't even begin to imagine.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that these are being done to kind of cement any kind of legacy or legacy story, but the man is doing his job. The man is actually coming out to do what he said he was going to do, and that he has seen the country, you know, from a bird's eye view. And he said, look, there's certain pockets of the country that if we open them up just a little bit, there's no telling then what we would be able to do for the economy of the country, for the development, for the people being able to move from point A to point B, opening up certain parts of the country that had previously been closed, then inviting business from other parts of the continent as well as other parts of the globe to make it a little bit easier to do business with Kenya. Seeing that and saying, you know what, I'm going to do it, not because I want people to remember me because I did 1, 2, 3 things, but because the country needs it. This is what I said I was going to do. I was committed to this cause, and for goodness sake, it is my job. And there are many people who said that I was not going to be able to do these things, or that I was just fluffing about and just saying things to make it sound nice. But I am doing it. And not only have I just done this, but there are other things that are coming that I said I was going to do that I will complete. So many people would say, well, they're just going to chalk it up to legacy and say he wants to be remembered as somebody who delved deep into infrastructure and that kind of development. But I mean, if seeing it a little bit deeper, the fellow's doing his job. He's doing what he said he was going to do. And maybe at this point actually saying, and even going as far as to say that there were certain parts of the country that needed to be developed, and I am going to make sure that we actually get it done once and for all and finished.
Remember one of the things that the envoy from Qatar, when he came to Kenya to sort of like give us that white handkerchief that represented, he actually didn't, but metaphorically speaking, that signal an end to the hostilities that we've been seeing between us and our relatives and neighbors in Somalia. There was something that was mentioned in that reporting regarding oil. that is resident around that border area that is under dispute, and the understanding that should we then prospect for it and should we then get to a point where we can commercialize it, the division of those spoils will be on, say, a 50-50 basis. Now, if you think about it and you look at the lay of the water, this is not the land here, and then you look at Lamu Port, and you think about the pipeline that we knew was part of the plan in building that port and in LAPSSET, does it then not make sense that suddenly you will find that you have a situation where businesses that previously would have been a head-throbbing exercise now become a very pleasant reality because you can see how it can be done. And also, when your neighbor is also set to benefit from it, I think it then becomes even better, and it makes for even better relationships with your neighbor. But this one has to be handled well. Why am I saying it has to be handled carefully and well? Is this: it is one thing to have these developments, but it is also another to ensure that the locals also see the benefit of this huge infrastructure project. If you just have this huge port and the locals don't seem, well, their livelihood just doesn't seem to change, or if it changes for the worse, then they'll curse the day that development actually got there. One of the things that port is supposed to do, it's supposed to enable smaller ships, smaller boats, to bring in cargo to the port, and so that the bigger vessels can actually come and collect them. But when you talk of the blue economy and the economy that very many people who live in that particular region are involved in, it's fishing. But the blue economy, the propagation of it and ensuring that you realize the actual potential that it has in that region, that has not been done. There are plans, there are blueprints, there's talk about it, but it has not been done. And that is the one thing that will help change the lives of the people of that particular region. Yes. So until and unless complementing steps are taken to ensure that it isn't just talk about blue economy, and more blue economy, and yet nothing is done to ensure that the people who rely on that blue economy have their livelihoods enhanced by a resource that they have at their disposal, then even that port, as far as they are concerned, we can herald it as being one of the biggest achievements on the continent, but it'll mean next to nothing to the people of Lamu.
Sure, I hear you. But even as we look at the LAPSSET project as a whole, right, and we look at the corridors that then are would be opened up for East African development, East African business, this port then being the anchor project of that, and to say that this now gives birth to the project as a whole, because it's been ongoing for how many years now, LAPSSET itself, quite some. But to see that this is actually being done, I think it is clear then that it wasn't just a project that was going to be swallowed up, that it is happening now, and that you can actually see steps and inroads into opening up, this part of the country to other parts of the world. And I think that once you see, I think it would be detrimental that you open up something like this and then you don't do the things that you're talking about, like making sure that it is actually usable, that people will actually use it, that the country will use it to benefit, that you will actually complete the remaining 31, that by October the other 2 that you said you would do, you will actually do. Because the benefits of this is huge. It cannot just be that, all right, we commissioned it, we started, and then we left it. Because there's so many other things that depend on it. I would like to think that the president and administration at this point actually sees the importance of doing this and making sure that it works, not just for big national projects, but then the communities around this area, how they can benefit and actually be lifted up.
To spur local economy.
Vital.
If that port actually comes to life, you can imagine the life of the local people is going to change immensely, because that economy will be spurred. And then, like you're saying, CT, the issue of looking at the blue economy and seeing how can we take advantage of everything else that comes with it. Now that we have a port, now that it's, what else can we do to make our blue economy work as well? There's fishing, there's everything else that goes around fishing. There's a value addition. You can actually fish and do value addition there and make sure that the fish gets into the market. a lot can be done. Looking at infrastructure projects that have been initiated under the Jubilee administration or that have been completed by the Jubilee administration. So just the other day, there was the opening of the 6-lane Kipevu Road that's hoped to ease traffic congestion in and out of Mombasa Port. We know the Dongo Kundu bypass. We know of the Dongo Kundu Special Economic Zone that's under construction with the assistance of the Japanese government and the Japanese people. The Lamu, that one we've talked about, the Lamu road, the Lamu road to Garsen. We're talking about the ports. In addition to the Lamu port, there was the expansion of Mombasa port. There is the opening of the Shimoni port in Kwale. So we have more ports. SGR and rehabilitation of the other railway projects. Isiolo Airport that was launched. In terms of energy, the geothermal, the Lake Turkana wind power, the Garissa solar power,
Kisumu Port,
So,
Nakuru Airport.
yeah, coming up.
Yes.
Yeah. Lodwar Lokitang, 80 kilometers road, rehabilitated and refurbished.
Long overdue, that one.
That one, eh?
That
It was horrible.
Aye.
How long would it take to do the 80 kilometers? Lodwar to Lokitang.
Let me ask the question. Let me phrase it this way. If you don't have a whole day, or rather, if you didn't have a whole day, and if you didn't have a strong back,
What?
yeah. But it also made it dangerous because of the slow pace at which vehicles would move. It made it a haven for bandits and people who are given to attacking other people in an attempt to redistribute whatever wealth they thought that those people had. So, when you have good roads, it's amazing what else actually changes. It is truly, truly, truly amazing. Yes. It's one of these experiences that it's difficult to fathom and to understand until you've actually seen it. If you're going to Mombasa and you want to go to Kilifi, see, for the longest time, the moment you go to Jomvu, the gridlock going towards the causeway, it would take hours. But then when you go to Mariakani, there's a bypass that actually takes you towards Kaloleni. My friend, it is such a massive shortcut. It's tarmacked. You suddenly find you've avoided all, because there's no traffic. You've avoided all that traffic and you're on your way to Kilifi and Malindi without a hitch.
Yep.
Now, before you experience such things, you cannot understand how it is that road networks work. And I was being told, I haven't followed these routes, that even from there, you can go to Voi, you can go towards Garissa, meaning the entire country actually gets connected.
Yeah.
There's a road that I remember seeing. Well, the road existed. It was a nightmare. Before the tarmacking of that road, Kisumu to a place called Luanda Kotieno, okay, which is in the constituency of Rarieda.
How many kilometers would that be?
That thing was, I think, close to 100 kilometers, if I'm not wrong. Was it
So 100 thereabouts.
It was there about close to 80 to 100 kilometers.
Uh-huh.
My friend, a stretch of something like around even just 15 kilometers, when it rained, the truth is you wouldn't move. That journey could take you 2 days because you'd get stuck.
Stuck there.
Stuck, and there were other vehicles stuck. So you're stuck and you sit and you wait until the sun comes up, probably the following day, it dries up a bit before you can move. Now, with the tarmac, it's a windy road. My friend, 1 hour and a bit, and you... It was all of these crazy things. And something as simple. Okay, Homa Bay to Mbita, 40 kilometers. Before they put up that tarmac, again, I would ask you, do you have the whole day?
How much time do you have?
Yes, because there'd be a bus that leaves Mbita on the way to Homa Bay. If you ever boarded that bus, one of the things that you'd be surprised, you'd ask, why are people in these shabby-looking clothes? They understood. At some point, you're going to get out of the bus to push the bus.
So you cannot
Put on your Sunday best. No. You put on clothes working clothes. And then when you get to your destination, you can actually change. 40 kilometers.
only.
3 o'clock. You are going to arrive in Homa Bay probably if it has rained around midday. Now you tell me, does that make sense to you?
It's absolute madness.
Yes.
It's absolute madness. Many people, we're talking about the infrastructure projects and asking, so what is Uhuru's legacy? What is it? Maybe, he's been focusing on the big four being the legacy, but very many other things that he's done, especially on the infrastructure side. Kirapa says Uhuru's legacy is uniting the country through the handshake. That is Angurai Teso North, Ome Village, Ossia, getting you live, and we are glad that you're getting us live from there. What is the Duchess of Cheesiness saying?
I'm so glad you're talking about infrastructure. I have been part of all the projects you have been speaking about: LAPSSET, Dongo Kundu, Special Economic Zone, Garden Witu Road, and Garsen rather, Witu Road. And currently I'm on my way to work on the Japan-Mombasa Gate Bridge project. So she's seen all of these things in the flesh,
Hey, Duchess, please call us and tell us about those
I think
projects.
it's very
Actually, it
interesting
would be
to
good
hear.
if she called it.
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
It would be good to hear from you, just from the horse's mouth. Oh, okay. The one that accompanies the horse.
It's called a mare.
Yeah. The one that accompanies the horse is called?
A mare.
Okay.
Mare.
Why is a mare accompanying the horse?
Abi, what did you mean?
No, this man is asking questions, and the response to which he is actually not ready to accommodate.
I'm not talking gender.
What are you
I'm
talking?
just talking about the one who's accompanying the horse.
Okay,
The
cowboy.
rider.
Cowboy.
The cowboy.
Together with a hat.
Bas,
and a
that's the
gun.
one. That's the one I'm talking about. It's the one I'm talking about. It's 7:30. Time for us to take a break. Let's see. We're talking about infrastructure. How is the road situation in Nairobi this morning, or other major towns, also in Mombasa? How is it getting onto the ferry? Do you remember that you must use M-Pesa to get onto the ferry? Okay. So let's talk about all that. And also, maybe when she calls us the Duchess, she'll tell us the number of people who are no longer relying on the ferry because we have the Liwatoni floating bridge.
Follow.
0719-012-600. We'd love to hear from you. We're waiting for the call from Duchess, but many other comments. People talking about Uhuru's legacy projects.
Quite some, actually. Okay, so what we hear is that whoever doesn't have eyes on what the president has done so far, let him or her be. Vin Miles says blatant corruption, constitution violation, and undermining the judiciary, economic recession, and crackdown on media freedom. Wow, okay. So Vin Miles has quite some to say. So
that's what he sees.
that's what he sees, sure. In
Blatant
terms of the
corruption,
legacy. Yeah.
there's constitution violation, there's undermining the judiciary, there's economic recession, crackdown on media freedom. So some of the things that will be a blot on what we call Uhuru's legacy.
Sure.
And he needs to address those as well.
That's true. I think so. He's not the only one who says that. Frankie Mbate says his legacy is corruption, impunity, mismanagement, theft, and destruction of people's livelihoods. The country is worse off than when Kibaki left it. Shirag Mwai says, I think the president's legacy is on revamping the railway and the commuter trains. They're getting better and better by the day from my experience. And we know that he uses the train service every day.
All right.
Boit Barsite.
Shiragi, you can also actually call us today. Tell us about that experience of using the train. From, where is he? From Githurai every
From
morning.
Ruiru.
From Ruiru
Yeah.
every morning to the CBD. How long does it take you to get here?
What's the experience
What's the
like?
experience like? You're saying they're getting better and better. What's better and better?
Boit Barsite says it took the High Court judgment for the president to wake up to the realization that BBI Snake had been an unnecessary distraction, and now he's working, it would seem, in just the last 1 week, back to his original agenda embodied in the Big Four agenda, albeit too late. Kudos to him. He has a hustler's unwavering support on such a cause.
Okay.
Right? So, it's some work is being done. I think this comment actually did strike me when it says, look, whoever doesn't have eyes on what the president has done so far, let him or her be. There's some stuff that's actually being done. It's being completed. Where we're talking about opening up spaces now for business and work to be done. It's actually happening. I don't think we can doubt that. But I think the proof, as they say, is in the pudding. And that you'll be able to taste it when you actually see that it is affecting and, reaching out and touching lives, as opposed to just this one big monolith and you don't know what to do with it. It's affecting lives. Trade is increasing. People are able to get their goods from farm to market.
Yeah.
Other countries are coming in using that's when you say that this project has come to life.
I keep saying, when Moi Kibaki was president, people would say all those things. Oh, look, there was a raid at the Standard Media Group. Look, the First Lady went to the nation. Look what has happened in terms of the country almost for the first time. In fact, at Afadhali Moi, the country almost for the first time went into a civil war. We almost split and broke up. When Kibaki left, huyo mzee alisaidia hii Kenya. Hey. When Uhuru is in office, oh, look, this man has blatant disregard for the constitution, violation. Oh, when Uhuru leaves, we will now look back and see, okay, yeah, we have some one or two things working. Let's go to the phone lines. The Duchess of Cheesiness is on the line. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
We are well,
fine,
thank you.
And thank you very much for calling in.
Yeah, first, I'm so excited you guys are having this conversation because for the longest time, I sit with people and they're like, this government is not doing anything, it's not doing anything. And I feel like I want to roll out maps and show them, we did this road, we did this bridge, we're expanding the port. So I'm so excited and you guys should just keep it up.
Sister, let me ask you, where do you work, first of all?
So first I was working at GIB Engineering until COVID happened. So I was part of the team that was doing the Isiolo Mandera Road, Kotulo to Elwak to Ramu, with a total of about 180 kilometers. And if you know your history pretty well, there's a sessional paper in 1980 that said that the government was not really willing to invest in the north because it was deemed a bit unproductive.
Yeah.
So this road was supposed to change that. So now I work for the JICA Mombasa Gate Bridge project.
Okay.
It is the one that is doing a bridge from Jelabaridi all the way to Ganjoni. It's supposed to go over the channel and then fall at Mtongwe. And then up ahead, it's supposed to join the new Southern Bypass, which we're also working on. Yes.
Jelabarid is
So
in Majengo, is it not?
Sorry?
Jelabarid is in Majengo, Mombasa.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this road is supposed to be a component of the Northern Corridor project.
Okay.
Kenya has two corridor projects, which is the LAPSSET corridor project, which is more transcontinental.
Yeah.
But the Northern Corridor project is supposed to be for East Africa. It's supposed to be a game changer. It's got many players like the Trademark East Africa, the KPA, the KMA, and the Japanese government right now, which is heavily funding Mombasa project. Yes.
So when you say the bridge, what is the bridge? So it's a bridge that will see vehicles coming from what
So
the Likoni side?
No, tell us about the bridge.
Yes.
yeah, the bridge is a beautiful, beautiful piece of infrastructure. It's just amazing. And why it's amazing is, if you know about the one-stop border point at Lunga Lunga,
Yes.
you know about it, right?
Yes.
And coming this way, you know they're supposed to do the Dogokundu Special Economic Zone, several acres of an industrial business area, which is supposed to simulate growth in that section. So this bridge is supposed to sort out the ferry problem that we have, which means that if we're trying to stimulate growth from Tanzania to come up this way and trying to uplift the southern side of the coast, then you have to make the connectivity between that side and this side ample. You understand?
Yes.
And at current with the ferry, still even after the addition of the two ferries that were bought, like about 4 years ago, it's still not adequate because there are always snags. The ferry door, it doesn't open, the ferry was carried into the ocean, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this is supposed to sort that out, and it's supposed to have a toll gate up at the new bypass that's being done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about the previous project that you worked on, the road from Koturo to Ramu.
Yeah.
First, for the benefit of everybody many who don't understand where that is, just tell us where that is.
Okay, so Kotulo, Elwak, Ramu, and I think now for public disclosure, I can talk about it because it's been a year past. Usually we're not supposed to really talk much about it, which doesn't work for the project itself because then that's why we have the information gap between people and But I guess now I am. So the project is from a place called Kotulo to Elwak. Elwak is 5 kilometers from the Somali border. Yeah. Then it now goes up all the way to Ramu, and Ramu is 0.4 kilometers from the Ethiopian border. Why this road is important, I would say mostly it's because of trade. Two, it's supposed to kill the Al-Shabaab problem in that direction. Because the reason why people actually go into doing the whole arms trade and go into terrorism is because they don't have money. Yeah? So if you don't have money, then that looks like an option for you, fanatism and all that. So if you open up that area and people have buses coming, trailers coming, trade is improved, then you kill first the terrorism issue, and two, you uplift the area, and three, the sense of patriotism is able to move in that direction because people there don't consider themselves Kenyans much. In fact, they always tell you, Kirudi Kenya wasalimie. So it's supposed to be able to put us all together and at least kill terrorism and there's a very heavy arms trade in that direction, on that corridor. Yeah.
Thank you very much for letting us know about all these things and very, very many others, like you said, very many other infrastructure projects that have long-lasting legacy, not just on President Uhuru Kenyatta, but on the country as a whole.
If I was to, I don't know if I'm answering your questions very adequately because I'm stuck in traffic.
Yeah, you are.
You're okay.
Yeah, but what I'd like to say is there's a very, very big information gap between the people and these projects. This government has done a lot. And most of these things right now are master plans that are being rolled out, which means what? Before you can do a road or do a bridge or do a special economic zone, which, by the way, we are doing 3. There's one in Kisumu, one in Mombasa, and one in Lamu. You have to go through the master plan process. So first you do the design. You do a detailed design. It goes through. You do a resettlement action plan, which is what I do. You do the plan of resettling people and compensating them. You compensate them. Then it goes to Kenha. And then Kenha now rolls out a plan of construction with the BOQ and gets a contractor. Now, the problem is right now we are at master plan stage, and some of these projects are now just reaching the contractor stage. They're just starting to be built. So for the longest time, people will say nothing is going on, the government is not doing anything. But of course, if we're at the master plan stage, there's nothing to see yet.
Yeah.
You understand?
How long does that process take?
I wouldn't lie, it takes quite a bit because like now I'm on my way to do compensation for that Jalabaridi Ganjoni side. And it's going to take about a year to be able to finish that process, and then it goes to the National Land Commission, and National Land Commission now does public participation, Section 40, which is very important.
Yeah.
Public participation, and then now after that, they are paid.
So in total, from the time you plan and you do all this, before you get to actually implementation, how many years does it take?
To be honest, a minimum of 3.
So let's say 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's almost all that planning is the full term of a presidency, 1 term.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Now, the thing is, the next president who comes, you people will start seeing roads being done and factories being done and be like, this president is working. No, he's not working. He's just implementing what the previous president put in place.
But Duchess, is that not what a president is all about? A relay. This one starts this, the other one comes and picks it up and continues.
As he continues this, he starts his own.
He starts his own, and the other one comes and picks it up. Is that not what it's supposed to be?
The only problem is that the voting masses don't understand that.
Because they don't know, because they're not
does
told.
Does not communicate.
Yes.
Well, can I be very, very honest?
Please be honest.
They just call out a few people. We have Brand Kenya right now.
Yep.
Brand Kenya is supposed to be the gap between the information gap filler between, let's say, the presidency and all these other parastatals and the people, which means they are supposed to tell us about this project to stir up patriotism. They don't do anything.
I see. How is it then if they're not doing anything? We haven't seen anybody in that sector being sacked.
Because you don't know they're supposed to be doing that, and so you can't hold them accountable.
Okay. Again, information not filtering through.
Exactly. It's all about information.
That's very true. Duchess,
so it depends. It depends on the corridors which you walk. Some corridors you can be able to see where the problem is because you are the place where information is really flowing. But if you are the lower lower down, then you don't know what is going on, what should be going on, so you can't complain or keep people accountable.
Actually, that lower down, as you call it, is literally all of us. Because apart from apart from you people who actually are
Or in the
involved
kitchen.
in the projects,
Have
even
no
those of us
idea.
in the media, half the time we're wondering what on earth is happening here.
So maybe that's one, and two. I know now we have unemployment. I think parastatal. I think they're also failing because all these projects are going to need people to work for them.
And all these parastatals have a communication department, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So if there's a gap, even people are taking courses in school that are not even relevant for some of these projects.
Yeah,
They're going
they
to
should
have
be aligned.
300 acres of a special economic zone in Mombasa. We scrapped polytechnics. Who's going to work there? Then we complain that other people are being brought in. Yeah.
Basically, what they should be doing is looking at TVETs and making sure that there's a TVET that's aligning to the kind of work that's going to be happening at, let's say, the Dongo Kundu Special Economic Zone, or the Lamu one, or the Kisumu one, or the Naivasha one.
Yes.
And the
Now,
National
people-
Employment Authority should be on the lead on this.
Exactly. And people who are in this sector, you hear them, they're very smart. They're like, mimi nimetuma mtoto wangu akafanye petroleum sijui in Kuwait or something. Kwa sababu najua LAPSSET sijui itahitaji sijui petroleum engineers. So they know and they are prepared.
They're prepared for the future.
But the rest of you are not.
Quite right.
That's very true. Duchess of
Yeah.
Cheesiness, thank you very much for calling us. And thank you for tuning
You're
in.
welcome.
Thank you.
Have a lovely day.
And have a lovely day as well.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Shurage Mwai,
Yes.
good morning.
morning.
Good morning, Eric, Charles, and Ndu.
Yes.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning.
It's good to hear your voice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Shurage, you use the train almost on a daily basis.
Yes.
And now you're telling us people should also just focus on that. What
Yeah, true.
that rail system is doing in terms of decongesting traffic. Tell us about it, your experience.
Okay. My experience starts from, I think, around 2014 thereabouts, 2013, 2014. Then the train was a bit shaky. Number one, it was not reliable. It would get stalled every time. Sometimes you had thieves inside the coaches, and they were old coaches, those ones which did not have windows, and people were facing each other.
Yeah.
As time went on, let's say they are starting 2018-19 thereabouts, we have seen a progressive improvement. We've seen even the staff. Now we can identify the staff and those who are ticketing. And now at least ticketing is done both outside and inside the coaches. So, and we have security.
Inside the coaches.
Inside.
Inside the coaches, they are police officers actually. Actually, this about the COVID protocols, especially the mask. You can't put on the chin mask because you'll be arrested inside there.
Okay.
So and also in terms of movement, because I use it from Kahawa station, which would call Kahawa West, to Makadara where I alight, it's from 6. I board at around 6:25, 6:27, and we get to Makadara latest 7:20. So you see, it's convenient because for me, if I'm going to Makadara, I'll have to go to town or go to Allsops, then Otaring, then come back, then to Jogo Road.
Yeah.
You see, but it's one way, and it's stalling. I think it happens once in a while, and also now
Once in a
I have
short while
tested-
or once in a long while?
in a long while, and it's reliable such that you can use it in the morning, in the evening. In the evening, the Ruiru train, that is the Ruiru train, leaves the station at 5:40 Central Station and gets to Ruiru. The latest I have had is 7:20.
Okay.
There's a time I went with it to Ruiru. It got there at around 7:10.
How long have you
So-
been using it, Shurage?
From I think now I would say 7-8 years now. Yeah, and I've seen improvement in terms of how it is being managed, the staff, the ticketing, and now at least people are a bit organized, you know.
And now you have new coaches.
Yeah. Actually, the old coaches were done away with completely. Now we have at least a standard coach that you would say people would sit and stand at the same time.
Okay.
You know, the other ones it was a bit hard. People had to squeeze themselves, especially the places, the coaches which had you would call a toilet.
Yeah.
That area, you find people squeeze there a lot. So, and that causes insecurity. But now, you know, it's a straight line. So you just stand. You stand and sit, and it is a lot of space. Somebody is getting out, somebody is entering. Yeah.
Ah, that's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear that there's something that's actually happening and people are using it and they can appreciate it.
Yes, a lot of people, especially the Ruiru Githurai train.
Yeah.
We were the Ruiru Nairobi train. We were suggesting they should have the morning train leaves at 6 in Ruiru.
Yeah.
They could have another one leaving at 6:30, 6:40, or even 7.
Yeah.
Or this one which gets to town can go back because we have the Kahawa train. This Ruiru train goes back to Kahawa West and starts its journey at 9.
Okay.
So there's a 9 o'clock train at Kahawa. So they could at least add another one there in between for people from Ruiru. You know, and it's convenient because you pay 60 shillings as opposed to paying 100 bob or maybe
more.
even more.
Yeah. Shirage,
Yes.
thank you very much for sharing that with us this morning.
Thank you.
Stay here, keep tuned, and we'll be glad that you're listening. Thank you very much for all those who have commented, those who are calling in this morning, talking about what is it that we can say that this Jubilee government has done since 2013 in terms of infrastructure, in terms of very many other projects, things that we want to see. And as you can hear, there's work going on, but the communication side of things, there's a lot not going on. Good morning.